It's been 3 years since I quit the very thing that built my internet presence. Many say I haven't found a replacement niche since, but I have to disagree, because for the past 36 months, I have consistently been focused on one content style. I stumbled upon this niche by accident. Uncertain of what to do next, I figured I'd go back to how I started YouTube over 14 years ago and just vlog every day, in hopes to capture interesting things. And the same week I recorded my last reptile video, my first story hit me like a ton of tiny red bricks. I let a camera run while working on my garden, but to my luck, I experienced a bad situation, an allergic reaction. But the good news is, it was my first successful non-reptile content, allowing me to produce well-performing videos, which quickly generated hundreds of thousands of views and made the channel money. This put me back into a good situation, and just in time, because my very last reptile video was scheduled to upload and I had nothing else filmed. I earned $3,000 off these fire ants. So I went on a trip up the East Coast for what I hoped would be my second successful non-reptile series. I made 5 vlogs, but unfortunately, the trip went well. This did not resonate with the far majority of my audience, though a small group of people loved the vlogs, which I much appreciate. But there was no ignoring the fact that being put in a good situation ultimately resulted in badly performing videos. Pulling in just 5,000 views per video resulted in my monthly revenue dropping to almost nothing. I was in a bad situation once again. I had no other choice, but for the first time in my life, to make my main source of income away from YouTube. I stopped posting videos, instead delivering packages and food every day. However, to continue documenting everything, I wore a GoPro while delivering. After a month, I finally decided to produce a few videos where I confessed my channel had officially fallen off, and I resorted to gig work, even though I often wasn't even earning $10 an hour some days. This bad situation resulted in videos performing extremely well. They ended up making way more money than the apps themselves. I continued pumping out these videos until they started to feel repetitive, and I finally had a surplus of money again. I was in a good situation. I grew a new audience and saw the opportunity to go all in on YouTube again. I decided the best course of action is to use this extra cash, push through, and try to make content I had truly wanted to create. I made videos exploring some of my favorite topics and getting more time to live stream, but each one earned just around $100 the first month I posted them, in spite of each video taking a week and a few $100s to produce. Though I still love how they came out, this good situation, producing passion projects, led to bad performance. This new audience left as quickly as they had arrived from the delivery videos. I didn't want to give up though, so I went back to gig apps, this time focusing on Uber as a way to pay my bills as I kept working at the series, but each video took so long to produce and got so few views that I wasn't able to fund any more of the concepts I had planned. I had a list of really I thought pretty exciting and unusual services and individuals to film with. I'd still love to do them someday, but instead, I threw up a low effort video on why I switched from Amazon to Uber. It immediately exploded. I made $2,000 and I was equally as pissed as I was relieved. I kind of hated the video, and I hated being known as the gig guy, as the gigger. Seeing an upload I spent 2 hours on do better than a 3-month-long passion project was kind of irritating, but at least I had money, so I resorted to pumping out the most negative delivery videos possible. They were so negative, in fact, that I was able to farm multiple reaction videos. For a moment, I was one of the biggest gig app channels on YouTube, which I did not know was a niche at the time, and by the end of the year, I had saved up enough money that I was in a good enough situation to pursue another passion project. Going into 2024, I was going to invest every day and every dollar into growing my channel bigger than ever before with positive and good content. I went all in and spent every day creating videos. Some viewers thought how extreme I went to stay focused and undistracted was silly, but I still stand by it. For example, ordering food delivery to my front door for literally every meal. The time and energy savings was just too good. Not only did I not have to cook, but I didn't even have to drive to pick up my food. I mean, genuinely, you've seen how much I rely on delivery, which is why Uber Eats is the perfect sponsor for this video. Order from hundreds of restaurants on Uber Eats to outsource one of the most annoying parts of being alive: having to prepare food. Imagine if I could ask someone to sleep on my behalf. I would save 8 hours a day, but at least I can streamline whatever I'm craving within just a few taps. And they're better than me at it anyways, while offering deals on a daily basis. All my favorite local spots are ready to fresh cook me whatever I want. I've been saying for years I do not miss the routine of driving into town and picking up food myself, though if you do want to, you can skip the delivery fee and often skip the line at the restaurant by ordering ahead through the Uber Eats app. And if you do just have a passion for cooking that I do not, you can get all your groceries dropped off at your door as well. You can track your order in real time and receive it with no contact delivery. So I invite you to use code HERPING15 to get $15 off your first Uber Eats order. So at the start of 2024, I spent 6 weeks on a 10-part car series, which hardly made $500 total. That was less than $100 a week in revenue on a series that cost me hundreds of hours of not just my time, but a few of my friends' time and thousands of dollars. However, I was less discouraged this time and feeling much better than recent years. I had massively improved my mental health, I became much more physically active, and I forced myself outside the house a lot more. Many of these experiences were documented, but unfortunately this good situation resulted in bad video performance. Viewership continued to plummet from my most recent peak via gig apps. As per usual, I was only able to profit on negativity and misery before running through savings once I got to enjoy positive experiences. A few months prior to this point, one of my closest friends had moved in with me, and receiving rent payments from my spare room and just getting to hang out every day not only helped me stay financially afloat, but I was never lonely and simply happier than I'd been in years. But there was no more avoiding the truth of it all. All this good was horrible for my channel. I ran out of money and I slipped into another bad situation. The cycle happened again. And then my friend stopped paying me rent. At this point, I understood the assignment. I had been given it multiple times before. I can turn this bad situation into a good one. So without hesitation, I not only spent every dollar left in my account, but I opened a new credit card, overdrafted my checking, and took out new loans, all while already having some medical debt and regular bills and supporting what was now 3 of us living at my house. But the financial situation was so bad that the resulting series exploded. Not just good videos, but videos that performed better than anything I had seen in years. It brought in tons of channel members, had several sponsors, and earned a lot of ad revenue. My bank account quickly went from the negatives to being padded with a surplus of money. I was very familiar with the cycle I had created at this point. I knew this would not last after my roommate series abruptly ended. Though I kept posting, I knew most viewers would disappear the moment they realized things in my life were looking up. Though I was fatigued from accidentally becoming a professional struggler, and I knew I had to change something eventually. I started Turo, which quickly went downhill. I rode the wave and the series exploded. I uploaded Turo videos every week, each one making about $1,000 profit. And so I was simultaneously renting on Turo, driving for 3 gig apps, pumping out as many negative videos as I could, all while working on a secret project behind the scenes. Finding new roommates. My plan was to escape the cycle, to get out of the matrix. I would rent out every room in my house while I live in the attic, which would theoretically generate enough monthly revenue to support myself. Then I could focus on building a sustainable YouTube series that doesn't rely on my suffering. I maxed my new credit card with a $20,000 limit. I basically put all my bills on the credit card and was working on new series concepts. And then I accidentally threw myself into a roommate situation more comfortable than I ever imagined. I reluctantly acknowledged it was the perfect storm. I had to take advantage for YouTube. But the thing is, I couldn't get myself to at first. I put off creating my second roommate saga for over a month because I knew I had one chance to get it right, and I wasn't in the mood to relive the experience so soon through writing these videos. Luckily, I had documented every moment of the experience in real time via my Discord server, which all the members got to enjoy. I used these weeks worth of messages and conversations to ensure I included as many details as possible in the final videos. And even though I had lived through the cycle, I was still completely unprepared for the response the videos got. I produced 5 hours worth of content covering the entire experience, start to finish. I uploaded all 7 videos for channel members within a week, and then I gradually released them publicly for regular viewers, which resulted in 2,500 people paying $5 a month to binge the series. The video paying my roommate $3,000 to move out made over $3,000 alone. It was the most profitable series I had produced in nearly 5 years. I completely wiped out all my debt except for my mortgage, and I had a little bit of money left over. I immediately put the word out that I wanted more roommates. But before anyone could move in, my Turo Tesla was in a collision. I decided not to post the content yet, instead keeping it stored away since I was in the middle of some other projects. And so, using the last of the second roommate saga money, I was on a plane to California for the third roommate saga to begin. We shot a ton of content, not knowing exactly what would happen, but the main plan was to keep the videos as negative as possible up front, but with hopefully positive spins. We began shooting a still unreleased series on my eating disorders and OCD, as well as putting a spotlight on the poor condition of my house and renovating it. We also began setting up trip plans to unusual places with unusual guests. But as with everything in my life, I can never predict what will actually go down. My friend suddenly decided to move out as quickly as he had moved in, which was an experience he asked me not to document. The good news for my channel is my Tesla had been destroyed right before I flew to the West Coast, and that series did very well. The videos were frustrating, they were high stress, and in the end, the Turo series as a whole made over $20,000. This was the third jackpot for the channel in the past 12 months. While I lost my new Californian co-producer, another friend moved in to take his place, who helped finish the Herp House series. We made it as negative as possible, but ultimately it all went well. A fun example is we had a 2-part series of doing my loft room. The first one we titled positively, and the second one we titled negatively, even though they were parts 1 and 2 to the same video. And the negative version performed over twice as well as the positive one. So I made a pledge to trigger the cycle again, producing as many negative titles as I possibly could. I turned what realistically should have been just 1 or 2 videos into a 6-part series of highly negative content. And the problem was, I failed at triggering any negative reactions. There was no explosive moment or climaxes. It was just mildly interesting, as my other roommate was completely unreactive to being kicked out. Fewer viewers tuned in, and a bigger group of those who did watch the videos weren't even happy with it. People were getting burnt out of my, quote, mistakes and financial disasters, but performance was still greatly beating my wins and my good days. So I kept pushing through with the purchase of a new Tesla, trying to create a formula that combined the past successes all into one. And by successes, I actually mean failures, of course. Taking out as much consumer debt as I could for a more extreme vehicle purchase with roommates for Turo in an attempt to engagement farm, of course. Immediately, viewer response was, why is he taking out so much debt after he just paid off so much debt? And the answer, of course, was because my return on debt had historically been really good through YouTube. So loaning $50K for the next series was not something I had any hesitation for. Episode 1 is one of my all-time favorite videos I've made, and while the first few did okay, the new Turo series was just off to a slow start. The problem is the stories just weren't that interesting. The car just didn't have that many issues. People were renting the car and returning it safely. The best I could do was milk a bunch of videos out of a single negative experience, but even then, all 7 videos combined did worse than a single Turo crash video. In the past 3 years, I have completed this full cycle 9 separate times. As of today, I am once again in a good situation. I would be a huge bozo to believe that the position I'm in will last, because I've done this 9 times. I know what happens, but I don't want to do it a 10th time. I've actually never experienced a higher percentage of negative feedback, negative comments, receding attention, and more criticism than this very moment, basically, the past couple months. I've attempted to make dozens of high quality and positive videos throughout this, but every time they flop. I've tracked my entire channel, both before and after reptiles, and without fail, negative topics and negative content performs at least 4 times better than positive or neutral content. Creating passion projects on self-improvement with happy endings earn the equivalent of the poverty line or less. But publicly keeping my life as negative and miserable as I reasonably can earns more than double the average American salary. Now, I've scraped a little bit of cash off the top of each win, aka loss, while reinvesting the rest back into the channel, but it's not enough to retire on or, live on forever. Ironically, reducing my living expenses usually results in more extreme revenue drops. So even when I cut food delivery to my house out of my lifestyle, I experienced a net loss. It took away a consistent and reliable content funnel where I was making monthly videos on how much money I quote unquote wasted on fast food. Eating McDonald's every day was profitable because each video about this experience earned more money than the entire month eating out, while self-improvement and eating healthy foods that I cooked at home directly harmed both my channel and my finances. As of today, I'm in the best health that I've been in a long time. I now live alone and don't really want more roommates. My life is free of drama. I'm enjoying daily life. And worst of all, I have a savings account again. I did consider just pretending to be broke. I talked about this with some people. I was like, should I just Photoshop my bank accounts to be empty again? But that would just feel so cursed. Like, as an avid viewer of YouTube, I would be very disappointed to learn that I had been bamboozled. I've always kept my videos authentic, but my savings, as always, will not last forever, especially if I don't figure out a new series quickly, and I will inevitably be thrown into the cycle a 10th time. I think one of the biggest ironies is that I'm not even a pessimist. I'm incredibly optimistic. However, I do wonder if this plays to my advantage. Because it's so hard to harm my mood, I feel like I'm more resilient to any negative experiences, so that even if in a public way I'm negative, I'm actually okay behind the scenes. Now, I could, and I have, started conjuring up some video series that fit this regular formula. In fact, a couple friends started helping me outline covering the worst experiences of my life, where instead of triggering new bad things, we go into my past and dig up the worst moments of my life that I never publicized. Within a few weeks, we could sit down and create multiple 10-part series on different experiences that are both authentic and engaging. But do I really want to do that? No, I can. Because I have a lot of goals, and a lot of these goals require a lot of money, and these series would probably push me towards the goals, but I'd rather do good things. Instagram historically has been known as the platform where everyone's lives suck, but they look really good on Instagram because they only show the nice slices of life, like the wonderful honeymoon or the big contract that they signed or the new car they got. But my YouTube channel's been the opposite. All it takes to generate 4 times the revenue is to present my life as bad instead of good. I'm all out of bad. Again, unless I want to dig up my past. YouTube is not only the most fun way in the world to make money, and I've also simply made more money from YouTube than every other attempted venture in my life combined. So I will continue to keep pushing and keep trying. I've written a huge pile of scripts the past month or two. I've recorded a dozen other videos just sitting on hard drives, and I have hundreds of gigabytes of unedited experiences. But I know that right now, they'll only resonate with an extremely small minority of my audience, basically. Now, I value these individuals more than everyone combined. Think the 5,000 of you who show up and tune in to whatever I share, no matter what it is, which is huge and I do not take for granted. So why don't I just post them now anyway? Well, it's because they'll still take a lot of resources, primarily time, to actually get uploaded. And investing this limited time I have into unprofitable series is simply guaranteed to dry up my savings and throw me into the miserable cycle again. And after 3 years, as we near the end of 2025, which by the way has been the most fun year of my adult life, contested only by 2024, which was also super fun, my hope going into 2026 is to break the cycle, but I have no idea how. I have so much inspiration, so much footage, and so many ideas that I would love to work on like right now. But just as 9 times before, I've had inspiration and ideas for exciting and positive and unique and interesting and happy stories, as well as real world experiences. I need to find a new formula. I need to build a bigger financial safety net, or I need to create other revenue streams, or else it's gonna happen again. It's gonna happen a 10th time in 3 years. As I keep investing every moment I can into figuring this out and producing videos, I will keep getting fresh food delivered to my door. So thank you again to Uber Eats for sponsoring. Get $15 off your first order with code HERPING15. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching.